Hello, welcome to Good Work Now, your resource for finding and creating good work. Even during a recession, one can still find a job in sales. However, many of us have a negative connotation about a sales career, when in fact it can be quite lucrative and gratifying. Joining me to explore the world of sales careers is Teresa Hiatt. She is currently the president of the Professional Society of Marketing and Sales Training, and she has been doing sales training with global companies and Fortune 500 organizations for over 20 years. So together, let's explore the exciting world of sales careers. Teresa, thank you so much for being here on Good Work Now.
Thank you.
Let's start with the first question. What kinds of sales careers are available to folks these days?
Well, it's interesting because when people think of sales careers, they think of something that maybe has sales in the title. But in reality, sales careers are almost any career you can think of. For example, I had a student recently tell me that he wanted to go into a career of developing computer software games. And I said, oh, so what you want to do is you want to sell computer games. Because obviously, if you're not going to sell them, what good is it to develop them? So where you might not think of sales as being a career, it really is.
So proposing something new is
Right.
actually a type of sales.
Right. Trying to convince somebody of your side of a discussion, perhaps as a legal person. If you're looking to be an attorney, you need good sales skills because obviously you're trying to convince people of the jury or the judge of your point of view. And that's an important part of being a salesperson. So it's not just the traditional sales careers like business-to-business selling or consumer selling. It's also looking at ways that you want to market your services and things that you develop to other people.
And I think too, many folks when I think of sales, I think of telemarketing.
Well, that's one form of sales.
That's one piece of it. Okay.
And people need to understand that in order to become really good at something, it's always good to practice it. Just as any other thing that you might do, it's good to learn new ways to do things and practice it. So a lot of people look at the telemarketing profession as an entry level into a sales career. So let's say that you're going to develop software, computer games for a living. Why not have some experience as a telemarketer to build up your ability to talk to people and find out their interests and then figure out how to pitch what your software game is going to be to a big audience.
So some of those skills could be generalized
Sure.
into other areas. Are there any particular sales careers that are in demand or are going to be in demand in the near future?
It's interesting that you should say that because in our economy right now, you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, there's just no jobs out there, it's hard to find a job. But if you look in the newspaper and you talk to organizations that are sales organizations, they're always hiring. So an example might be as the economy starts to slowly improve, you'll see more companies that sell things like manufactured goods or products to businesses or even people that are trying to market towards the vacation industry. They'll be looking for salespeople as that economy improves. And it's a great way to build a skill set and it can be very lucrative.
I think most sales careers are commission-based.
Typically they are.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because salespeople are paid for results, which is not a bad thing. The only downfall is people sometimes might have to learn how to deal with the variations in income. Somebody with good self-discipline would have to say, oh, I'm getting a big commission check this month, but that needs to last me for the next 3 months as I'm going through a slow season.
What kind of person does well in sales?
A good salesperson is someone that enjoys helping people. Most of the time when you're trying to sell a product or a service, you really are trying to understand what a person's needs are or business. Then you take that information that you've gathered and you find a solution from whatever product or services that you represent to try to meet the customer's needs. That's an important characteristic of a good salesperson, to be able to help people. Another important characteristic is they have to be willing to work hard. Sales is not a 9-to-5 job. You have to be available when the customer's available, and it takes a lot of research and information gathering to be able to bring the right solutions to customers. So it has to be somebody that's willing to put in the time and effort. It's not an easy job to start out with, especially as you're building those presentation skill sets. A third thing that really needs to be a focus is you have to enjoy learning new technologies and information. If you're not someone that enjoys reading for pleasure or perhaps watching news programs or getting involved in learning new things, it's going to be difficult to be a salesperson because you have to stay up to date with what's going on.
One of the things that I hear about individuals that are in sales is that they're worried about the rejection, about customers saying no, and the need to be resilient. What are your thoughts about that?
That's interesting. That's exactly what I was talking about when I said about willing to work hard, because it takes a special kind of person to be able to call 100 different people or face them in a face-to-face situation and be told no 100 different times. And it's got to take somebody that has the persistence to keep going back. Just need to remember, they're not rejecting you personally. They're just rejecting the fact that you haven't found quite the right solution for what their needs and information is.
So that's a good way of looking at it, is in terms of meeting the needs of the customers, as you said.
Right.
What are some of the rewards and challenges with being in the sales profession?
There are a lot of rewards with the profession. I think that's where we should focus on first. For example, imagine you've spent the day learning new information, asking a customer question, figuring out what their needs are, and you've been able to propose a great solution that saves the customers money, helps them make their business work better, and at the same time, you've enriched your own life. Now, that's got to be a self-satisfying feeling that you don't really get with a lot of other jobs that are out there. And salespeople actually have a high that they talk about when they're able to put a win-win situation together with their customers. That's a big deal. That can happen every day in the life of a good salesperson. If you're looking for a satisfying career, this is one of the rewards and advantages about it. Now, of course, one of the other rewards is sales is one of the few fields where you can really have a lucrative income. If you can put together the type of time and effort that you need to build that type of sales career, salespeople from Bill Gates, who wasn't a success until he sold his first software application to IBM, or even Warren Buffett or some of the financial geniuses sold financial services as part of starting off their career. That's the kind of wealth that you can build if you put your time and effort into a sales career. Of course, there are some challenges. We spoke earlier about the rejection that you get every day. There's also the fact that you've got to be able to be a disciplined person that gets yourself up and motivated every single day, because there's not going to be anybody else to motivate you but yourself. It's someone that's got to go and manage their money well, because again, there's a great variation in your income. You can be making lots of money one month and really struggling to the bottom in the next month. So if you have those kind of things to it, the rewards and challenges, pretty much balance out.
So it sounds like a consultant.
It is exactly like a consultant, because the idea of a consultant is they learn the customer's business or learn what the customer's requirements are, and then they put together something and make recommendations from it. Now, sometimes a consultant, because they don't necessarily see results as quickly as possible, a consultant is paid a consulting fee. Here we're going to just pay you some fees based upon the fact that you're putting the work in. But a salesperson is willing to say, I think my solution, my recommendations are going to have such power that you're willing to buy these products and services that I represent to be able to do that. And it's a little riskier, but the rewards are much higher.
Are there some sales careers that are more lucrative than others depending on the industry, like the pharmaceutical industry, the insurance industry?
The industries has a level of salesperson that works with major account customers, for example, where it gets into the lucrative end of the field. There are some telemarketing positions up at the higher ends with financial services and so forth that have very lucrative positions. So it's not so much the industry as the target customer. Now, think about it. If I'm going to be talking to a head CEO of a corporation in a global community, what kind of credibility and experience and in history and education do I have to have as a salesperson to be able to walk in and talk to the CEO of a corporation and let them know that I have some information that they need? Obviously, it's not going to be somebody starting out early in their career. It's going to be somebody that's taken the time to develop skills and learn information and get their skill sets totally in line in a professional manner before they go to talk to a customer like that. So that's the more lucrative end as you get to bigger and bigger customers in whatever industry.
Great. The last question I want to ask is, how does one get into the field?
That's a good question. And let's start from the very beginning. The key to a successful sales career is having good presentation skills. Presentation skills can be developed from the very beginning, from doing a presentation in a grade school class to the rest of your classroom on a book report that you've done. All the way up to maybe in high school you're doing mock trial, in college you're doing speech classes. Developing those skills and taking some time to really be able to get your ideas across is a great start to any sales career. Next, you want to talk about maybe some of the college major programs that are out there. For example, University of Central Florida has a sales curriculum specifically for the sales industry. Many organizations do that. Many of the collegiate organizations today understand that that's such a critical career that they actually have an education path for it. Another benefit to the sales career is that a lot of companies have their own internal training programs. For the last 10 years, I've been responsible for the sales training program for a Global 500 company, and that's exactly what we looked at. Let's take somebody who has an interest and is a hardworking person that can develop their skill sets, and we'll put them through a comprehensive training program from the ground floor up to teach them how to start out in sales and become a professional throughout the years. And that career path of learning exists in a lot of different industries. Take some time to research an industry you might want to get involved in and come in at the ground level and let them pay to train you. That's a big benefit to this situation.
We recently did an episode where we were at a job fair and there were several employers that had sales positions available, and they offered free on-the-job training for applicants that had little or no experience.
A job fair is great, and actually that brings me to another important way to enter the industry, and that is a good resume. Okay, look at your background, look at some of the things that you've done, maybe some of the jobs that you've had, or you might consider them retail. Someone may have been a clerk at a selling clothing at a clothing store. That really does have a sales component, and if you talk that up on your sales resume, that makes it very easy to get in some of these programs that have great training programs. So be sure to take time to look at your resume from a sales point of view and make sure it's a strong resume.
Good point. I really like how you framed the sales career as a consultant, that it's a professional position, that salespersons really help their customers meet their needs. And so it really elevates the positive nature of the career. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if you would like to reach out and chat with Teresa, she can be found on LinkedIn. And until next time, keep up the good work.